You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
It's Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, and we're back with more. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Hope you had a chance to listen to our last episode, that summer movie prediction, where we tried to guess what the big box office was going to be. It's already, I think we're all tied for first, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm already feel like I just blew it because there's been a lot of buzz about Indiana Jones today, and I'm about it. It may not be a huge hit. No, whatever. I did have a blast recording that, so I've been wanting to do that.
Went to see Guardians, and it had the trailer for Flash, which I hadn't watched, that second trailer, and then the trailer for Elemental, which I ranked above the Flash. I was like, "Oh, this is not a great trailer." And then here comes the Flash with an amazing trailer. I was like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll all overanalyze our lists all summer.
Yeah.
I screwed up.
So we're going to talk even more movies this episode. We're going to start with a question, though, I thought, right?
Oh yeah. Let's see. A little getting to know you. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah, you know me is what it's called.
Oh shoot. Yeah, but you play the song or something. Back me up.
Yeah, we haven't done this one for a while.
Yeah. This is our first day. You down with KPP?
Yeah, you know me.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
You know me. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
You know me.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
You know me. You don't know how it feels to be me. If you don't know me by now.
Why are you the way that you are?
Guys, what college course or presentation, like one class, one like good, couple hour presentation, could you competently teach if given a month to prepare, and give you a little time? What do you think you could do? What do you think someone could say, that guy's an expert on this?
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be theme park related, right?
I'm guessing.
Like how to fast pass with Professor Cliff.
Right, yes. Theme park strategy.
Yeah. Theme park strategy. I think that's a good name for it.
That's good. That's good.
That class would be full. There'd be a wait list for that class.
Oh, there would. Sounds fun.
Yeah. Another fun thing would be like a history class of like Disney related, but so I could do like the 64-65 World's Fair.
Oh,
and in New York, and the significance of that on theme parks. That's where we got Small World and the predecessor to the People Mover and Carousel Progress, all those great things that are still around today. So
I thought about it. I mean, I think I came down to, if I just had a month to gather my thoughts, I feel like I could give a pretty good expert Captain America class, like just going over the years of the character, Steve Rogers in particular, but go through that all, and the evolution of the character through all the writers and artists, and just how he went from, he changed over time, how, all the different things that have happened to the character, and, being the man out of time, and, how the, like Englehart demilitarized him, and he became this, more about the dream than about the, being a poster boy. Just everything. Go through the whole thing. Grunwald and Brubaker and everybody in between. Just go through the character. I'm sure I could fill hours with that. I would mostly, it'd be a lot of wet Zex up on the screen. I'd be like, this here is a wet Mike Zeck cover. What do you think about that?
Professor Poobah, why is the syllabus full of wet Zex?
Yep, that's pretty much how it would be.
You send them to the bookstore, and it's just omnibuses. They got to buy omnibuses from the college bookstore.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, that's it's probably cheaper than the college text.
I was thinking along the same lines of like U.S. history through pop culture, like specifically comics would be my expertise of like
right
the way comics have influence, how American history and politics have influenced, the 50s and the Cold War up through Vietnam, 9/11, like how all this stuff is reflected. Our pop culture reflects reality back at us. That seems like very broad. That seems like too big of a topic for one semester. So I don't know.
I don't know. Something like that.
Creative writing classes, I'm sure. Like we had the Oval group, the Ohio Valley Artists League. We'd get together and have meetings with all these comic creators locally, and I would like put together lesson plans on like story structure, how the three act structure, and how to tell a story and that kind of stuff. So I've done a little bit of that, not for any academic purposes, just for us. Just for us nerds.
Just for fun. Oh shit.
Yeah, I heard they quickly disbanded after they had to come take class.
They heard there was a test.
Yeah, I wonder why that didn't blow up in popularity.
I figured we knew something about something. Okay, no, we're going to do another short question. This is real simple. This is just a palate cleanser here. What's your favorite candy bar?
Favorite candy bar.
If they had it, when you go in the gas station, you're in a hurry, you got to get a snack. You're like, I don't have time. I got to get something in my stomach. You run in there, you're feeling a candy bar, and you grab yourself a pop or whatever, and you head over there. If they've got it, if they have anything you want, what are you grabbing?
I usually head for the Reese's family. I like the Reese's peanut butter cup, if that counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's normally what I pick up, only because that's my wife's favorite and we can split it.
Mm-hmm. I figured you guys were more of a one of you had the peanut butter and one of you had the chocolate. Occasionally you ran into each other.
Yeah. I really like a Kit Kat. Kit Kats are good.
Yeah,
like Twix, but Kit Kat's really good. There's actually
got the wafer, the nice wafer, a little snap of the wafer.
And if I want to get fancy, I'll get the mint Kit Kat bar.
Mint Kit Kat. Yeah, what I see the other day, they have came out with churro Kit Kats.
I saw that too, because I even made a comment to Carly because she loves churros. And I was like, oh my gosh, if this is good, could be a game changer.
I've always thought Reese's is the best candy bar, but I eat, whatever candy bar thing, but that's an American classic. But my new favorite candy bar, if I'm going in and they have this, I'm buying it. That's what I'm getting. King size. I think it's the only size that comes in is a king size. I didn't even know it existed until this year, but I always thought a Payday was fine, but now they have chocolate covered Payday, and it's unbelievable. I love it. It's my new favorite candy bar. That's my go-to. It's filling and it is delicious.
That's kind of Snickersy with the peanuts and chocolate. But...
it's better. That's better. It's I mean, I like a Snickers too, so it is right up my flavor profile alley there. But if you're looking for it, it's Payday's always in that white wrapper. This is a brown wrapper with the orange writing there, and it's
Stop
good.
saying mouthfeel.
It's good. It is good. So
well, there you have it. You know us.
Now you know what to get us. If you're on the way to our houses, if you're heading up to Castle Poobah, grab a giant size chocolate covered Payday.
Just throw it in the yard. Just toss it as you drive by.
Like everybody else, they just throw shit in my yard.
I know the feeling.
I had a couple news tidbits relate to the movie, so I'll throw those out there real quick.
That was a movie snack thing right there. Sorry.
Yeah, movie snack.
See, I worked it in there.
What to sneak into the movies because you're paying $15 for a ticket.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
Just learned Disney is removing more than 50 original shows from Disney Plus and Hulu.
Watch them now, folks.
Yeah, the way Warner's did with HBO, got rid of Westworld and a whole bunch of stuff from the streaming platform and licensed it to these third-party, free streamers to make an extra nickel. Well, that was evil Warner Brothers. Well, guess what? Now Disney's doing it as well. So none of their marquee shows, but like Willow, Why the Last Man, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, Cheaper by the Dozen, Mighty Ducks, Turner and Hooch, Just Beyond, the R.L. Stine anthology series. So, not just the junk. There's some known properties there, and they're just not going to be on Disney or Hulu anymore. So they haven't announced what they're doing with them, whether it was just to cut a couple dollars of residuals or they're going to try to stream them somewhere else. Who knows? But everybody's cutting the corners now, Dan.
Yeah. Well, we know now that they are also working on a combined Disney Plus / Hulu app that's going to be separate from the idea is, I guess, if you have both of those, you can have just one app. And I have no use for that.
Seems like nothing I want.
Yeah,
I have both of those, and I like them separate.
I'm just fine with how they are right now.
If you could get twice the content for one price, that's cool. But something tells me that's not how it's going to work.
Right? No.
Seems silly, but most of the decisions these guys make are silly.
And we also learned, speaking of silly decisions, this broke right after we recorded our last episode, but I just wanted to mention it. Netflix ending their DVD by mail service. In case
I wondered if that affected you. Are you still doing that?
Nah, I just did it for that 1 month. But yeah, after 25 years, the final DVD ships on September 29th. So this was the revolutionary idea, the game changer that put video stores out of business. You can get DVDs in the mail, and there's iconic red envelopes, no late fees, keep whatever you know, for however long you wanted to order, way better selection than any video store could provide. And they kind of pioneered that subscription model. And then what they used, these algorithms they created to help recommendations to help you find, what should I rent next? That stuff is what led to this streaming revolution as well. The advancements they put in there, trying to get recommendations for the DVDs, helped. I'm sure all that technology just, they worked into the whole streaming business as well.
That feels like a lifetime ago.
It does indeed.
And it's not. I mean, I remember, I guess, but it wasn't 15 years ago. I remember getting those. I know I watched Breaking Bad on those.
I was gonna say that was right around the time they started putting TV shows on DVDs, and that written one of those a disc at a time. Was,
so that was probably around 2011 or so when I was catching up on that show, and definitely just getting discs in the mail.
CEO Ted Sorrento says, quote, "We feel so privileged to have been able to share movie nights with our DVD members for so long. To everyone who ever added a DVD to their queue or waited by the mailbox for a red envelope to arrive, thank you." So, I mean, there are people who don't have internet still. There are people who live way out, or there are people who like weird, old, obscure movies that aren't streaming anywhere. So, I mean, that people are still using this service. I'm sure it's a tiny fraction of what it once was. But like when I was doing that 100 essential movies list, I got down to that last month, and there were 6 or 8 movies that were nowhere else. So I signed up for a month of the DVDs by mail, got on with no problem. So that's my question. Like, what happened? They have a library of over 100,000 titles, probably the biggest collection archive of film history. What now? What happens? Does it just get trashed? Does it get auctioned
Throw it in
off?
a landfill. There's a spot right
gone
next to E.T.'s video game.
There's no way that they're gonna let that benefit anyone.
Yeah.
They're gonna throw them away.
So that's just gone. That the access to historical, films that you're not going to find elsewhere. So yeah, we can laugh, haha, it's outdated technology, but I mean, it still has some artistic value.
Well, you just said Disney and these places are taking all this stuff off. It's not there. People that are going to all this digital stuff and like, I don't need anything anymore because it's all just available digitally. It is not. So if you really want to be able to watch something, you better have the physical media to do it.
And one more Netflix note. Again, this was old news, but they announced the official end to password sharing for the 5th time. That it was it had already tested this paid sharing model in Canada, New Zealand, Spain, and Portugal in February, where the primary user has the option to add 2 more people outside of their homes to the plan for an additional fee. So that was supposed to come to the U.S. in the second quarter. They announced about a month ago. And then this week they announced they're delaying that crackdown in the U.S. To quote, give it time to learn which approach was best for members and its business. So they're saying it's coming in the second half of the year. So it was going to be the second quarter of the year. Now it's the second half of the year. I think they're getting some numbers back or some preliminary feedback to what's going on. And they're probably
not the reaction they were hoping for.
Although when we first talked about this, all the complaints I had, like I was saying, they don't even know how people stream, of college kids using their parents' account on a college campus somewhere, or divorced parents having 2 different accounts, or they seem to have fixed all that with this idea. It's still you have to pay extra, but they fix all the things I complained about the first time. They seem to have addressed, like giving the code to sign in if you're going from work or whatever. So again, I don't think it's ideal, but it's not as bad as when they first announced it. Because I can, you shouldn't steal passwords. That's bad. What's the best way to do this? Well, you should have done this from the beginning if this was so important to you then. But
exactly, you let people get used to it.
Yeah,
that's why they were justifying the price they were paying. Now you're like, nope, not good enough. I don't know.
Do you guys still have DVD players, or Blu-ray players?
I just have PlayStations.
Yes,
I if I ever get around to buying a big honking TV like I want, I'm gonna get just a nice good 4K player, some really great player, because even these new, I have PlayStation 5, it plays them fine, looks great, but it's not meant for it.
Yeah,
it's got it, but it's not a dedicated thing that is going to look the best.
Yeah, it's just I mean I have a couple. I don't know that I have the remotes to them, but we have a couple here that I don't think they're not hooked up.
Yeah.
Like
I haven't used one like that for years. I've always just used PlayStation.
Knowing I have all this stuff. I have all these DVDs. Like, no, I'm not gonna go get it out of the closet and plug it in and play it.
No.
But it's like
No way.
I feel safer.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. I do watch. I do pull out. I've got a bunch of movies. I do pull them out and watch them on my PlayStation.
My DVD player is a PlayStation 2, and I had the plug in the little.
It doesn't do that, does it? Does it play?
Yeah.
I'll play a DVD.
DVD,
not a
DVD.
Blu-ray.
And I have a PlayStation 3 that's my Blu-ray player.
Right.
But the 2,
I still have
I had the
PlayStation 3
little
somewhere.
The little PlayStation remote you had to plug in, and then it stopped working at some point. I'm like, oh, maybe I should get a new one. Well, on eBay they're like $50 because it's completely outdated technology. So like I have to get the controller out.
Yeah.
Triangle. Like it's like, all right, that's why I don't watch DVDs, because it's too much of an hassle.
That's so funny. VCRs
I was just going to say I still have a VCR around.
Oh, I haven't had one in over a decade.
I have it because I have some tapes that I know that's the only way I'd be able to watch them. So I kept a VCR.
Oh, I still have some VCR tapes, but I think when the last player we had broke many years ago, we just were like, I'm not buying another.
How you gonna
VCR.
Watch Temple of Doom?
I was gonna say, how do you watch?
Yeah, this is such a functional part of life that VCR was for, when we grew up. And
I've just got a couple tapes that have like Nick really young, and I want to be able to play them if I want to see them.
That's what I was laughing. My oldest nephew graduates next weekend, and I'm thinking of what to get him as a gift. And I'm thinking back to my freshman. What did I need as a freshman? Oh, I needed a long distance phone card. I had a crate of VHS tapes that I took with me. A desktop computer that weighed about 600 pounds. Some number 2 pencils. It's like what in the world? Like life has changed.
If you gave that emergency pack to him, he'd be like, "This is the first thing I take off if I fall in the water." Yeah, it's funny. Oh,
yeah, you know us even more. Okay,
more about
what movies have we gotten to in the last couple of weeks?
Oh my gosh!
Save Martha! Puny God. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm Batman. Kneel before Zod! On the roof! Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
Oh, I watched a couple things. Let's see. Nick and I watched the other day that 65 movie with Adam Driver.
Looked fun.
Yeah, we always saw it in the theater, and then we just didn't end up doing it. But it's Adam Driver and Ariana Greenblatt. Do you guys know this girl? I recognize the name, but I don't think I'd ever seen her. She's been in. I guess she was in Infinity War as somebody. She's going to be in Barbie. She was in Scoob. I don't know. She's a child actress she's like 15 or 16. Anyway, somehow they tried to pretend she was 9 in this. I don't get it. But it was extremely fine. I liked it, kind of. This is the one where he's like from some other planet, lands on Earth at the time that the dinosaurs are about to go extinct. So he's like fighting a bunch of dinosaurs and trying to get off of Earth. And it was, I mean, it just had so much potential. It really kind of perturbed me. But I really didn't like his shirt. He had such a Star Wars shirt or like Hot Topic shirt. I don't know. His shirt was just like a gray shirt. It was like Star Wars guy shirt. He had like a gray shirt with like tape on it or something, like things. It's like having those little pins in your pocket holder, like they do. You know, it's just like, I don't know. It's just so generic. But there were some good things to it. It was interesting. It had some neat effects here and there. I really like Adam Driver, so he made it pleasant to watch. But I think I put in my review on Letterboxd that at one point he's telling his daughter to teaching her how to like whistle with her hands cupped at her mouth, and he goes, "Don't blow so hard." And that's what I want to tell this movie. Don't blow so hard, 65. You could be better than this. I think Jordan, you and I both watched Air.
1984 has been a tough year. Our sales are down, our growth is down.
Sonny, I brought you in here to grow the basketball business.
People don't know what the hell a Nike is.
What's a Converse?
NBA All-Star shoe.
There's nothing cool about Nike.
You would have to have a pretty compelling pitch.
I can tell them the one thing the other companies can't compete with. Our basketball division is terrible.
I do not love it. This is where you come up with a brilliant idea that no one else can see. Let's hear it. I got it.
I found him.
Who's that? Jesus? Can't afford it.
I'm willing to bet my career on one guy.
My name's Sonny Vaccaro. I'm with Nike.
Do you typically make it a habit of showing up at people's front doors unannounced?
I don't like to take no for an answer. Oh, man. Here we go. You ask me what I do here. This is what I do. I find you players, and I feel it this time. Okay, it's risky. When you were selling sneakers out of the back of your Plymouth, that was risky. Don't change that now.
For a rookie?
Yes.
Who's never set foot on an NBA court.
That's the literal definition of rookie. Yeah. What's the plan? We build a shoe line around just him. I need the greatest basketball shoe that's ever been made.
Who's the player?
Michael Jordan.
Your motor.
Yes, the docudrama.
Yeah, this
Nike.
is the Ben Affleck and Matt Damon thing about Air Jordans, about about that poor little $1 billion company, Nike.
This was the true underdog tale of one of the biggest shoe companies in the world becoming the biggest shoe company in the world.
Exactly. I was really upset. Hat Damon had no hat on.
I waited the whole movie for him to put a hat on, a Nike hat, and it didn't.
That would have been amazing. That would have taken up a half a star for me.
Now, this movie was, we talk about all the time, that 80s nostalgia. It literally began with Money for Nothing by Dire Straits.
Which I got to tell you was perfect. As much as I was like, it's going to throw all this garbage in my face, that was the perfect song.
MTV and a montage of literally just listing 80s things. Right. It was showing Rubik's Cubes and jazzercise dancing and like big hair and Jordache and sunglasses. Like it was just literally a montage of this is the 80s.
And we don't know if you know this, but this is when this happened. But I didn't think that it was an interesting
story. I think that's that idea of celebrity and influencers that we have now. This was back in the day. I'll just pay a guy to wear our shoes, and that's some good advertising. But this completely changed the game. And I thought Viola Davis was great. She is normally super intense and everything, and she was a little more laid back in that. She was not laid back, but a little more subtle in this.
She didn't go full woman king,
right?
Yeah, I guess Affleck went to Michael Jordan and said he wasn't even going to make the movie unless he got his blessing to make it, and he said, "Okay, all I want is you to cast Viola Davis as my mom." He's like, "I'll try my best," and they pulled it off. So. Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I thought there's some rousing speeches here and there, and good monologues by Matt Damon, which is what you want. Matt Damon doing his Matt Damon monologue. Could have used a hat, but I thought it was just Ben Affleck constantly Jordashed out basically through the whole movie. And I don't know, it was just clumsy here and there. There was I feel like it could have been a little sharper, but it's perfectly pleasant. So I would absolutely recommend watching it. You're gonna have a good time watching it. But didn't like, blow me away.
There is tension there, like, oh, I got to get the agent on the phone, got to agree to this contract, and it's like it's a sports movie in that way of like, there's these montages and there's drama and all this stuff, but it just doesn't. I can't quite ever get.
Yeah.
The stock prices are going to go way up. Right. Hooray! Like I can't cheer for that.
Yeah, could have used more of like, I don't know. I feel like maybe his family didn't have any super big strife going on that they could have used that. Could have used more of the other side. And they chose to do I know Michael Jordan's iconic and who you're going to cast as him. It's going to be distracting, but they just didn't show his face. They used some actor and he didn't say anything. He was there. He was in the meetings, but they never put the camera on him. They never asked him anything. It was like, it kind of, I get that. I don't fault it, except I feel like they made it look like he didn't have any choice in this matter. Like he just went along with whatever. And it was just awkward would be the way I would describe it. It was just like, I felt like he would be a little more involved in it. I did like it though. I thought it was fine.
Currently streaming on Prime.
Yes.
They take it away from me.
Too late. Well, we have to put that in every time now. Wow. Rip it apart. And it is just one of the endless stream nows of movies that are about products. I watched Tetris a few weeks ago. We got Flamin' Hot Cheetos coming up, and Blackberry is actually getting a lot of buzz. Like it's supposed to be better than Air, so I'm looking forward to it.
I want to see that one.
It's actually at the mall right now. I was surprised, but anyway, did you watch anything else?
Not really.
I watched that. Oh, sorry. I watched that A Man Called Otto. Is it on Netflix? I think it hit Netflix. Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. It's a remake of the movie of the same name from a few years ago. Well, maybe it might have had a different name. I can't remember, but it's a foreign movie that was a big hit about this grumpy old guy. So it's Tom Hanks being a grumpy old guy. Kind of pulls at your heartstrings. Totally fine. 6 out of 10. If you like Tom Hanks.
Is that
that's the review.
That's the official letterbox.
That's what I got.
Yeah. So, no, I was going to say, I watched on HBO Max. There's a new DC animated movie out, Legion of Superheroes. Just watched it the other night.
Legion Academy. If you wanted, you could train here. Think of them as the future's Justice League.
It is so great to meet you. I'm Mon-El. This is the rest of the Academy trainees.
We are the front lines, administering justice and preventing war.
Your cousin is a problem. She's failed to control her powers.
Brainiac? I am not going to let you hurt anyone else.
With her abilities, that makes her a threat.
I don't like what you're implying.
We still have no idea where the rest of the Legion is. I've seen the Dark Circle. Come on, we don't have very much time. It's up to us. So let's go be heroes.
Yeah, it's okay. This one features Supergirl and her time in the future with the learning how to be a hero with the Legionnaires. I had an issue with the animation was terrible. I just did not like it. It looked cheap. and it just looked very stock, like somebody almost made it on their phone. Did nothing for me. Like the costume designs weren't so much the worst part of it, but I just did not like the animation at all. It was very, very cheap. Is the best word I know. And to, you know, kind of test my opinion on it, I messaged Michael about it, and he immediately said the same thing before I mentioned it, that he thought some of the designs were actually bad, and he did not like.
Is this a piping issue?
It was not a piping issue. Not for me, at least. And then after,
don't speak for him. Don't speak.
No, nobody could. After that, I thought, well, I'm going to really see. And so I texted Cooper, and I said, hey, I watched that new Legion, because he had mentioned it, and before I'd watched it, and I said, hey, I watched that new movie. And he said, yeah, it was okay. All right. The story was pretty good, but he did not like the look of it. And I thought, well, okay, we're 3 for 3 here. So that was my big takeaway. The story was fine. It was a little, felt kind of like a ripoff of a Justice League cartoon from the early 2000s storyline they had done years before. But yeah, so HBO Max before they pull it, I guess.
Well, speaking of Michael, you also saw Mario, right?
Get your mustache ride.
Where am I?
Ooh, fresh meat for the grinder.
Pay him no heed. He is cute, but he is.
There's gotta be a way out of here.
There's no escape. The only hope is the sweet relief from death.
Whoa! Oh, you've got to be kidding me!
My army! Koopas! Koopas! Whatever those things are! Aww. We will destroy the Mushroom Kingdom!
Bowser is coming.
I'm not afraid. I'll do anything for my brother.
We're going to save him.
Yes! Fire!
You asked for it. This is fun!
Here we go!
Attack! Let's end this.
Oh, indeed. I was so disappointed there were no mustache rides.
Was the look of that one? Animation.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, boy, man, when we went to see it, because we saw it after a volleyball tournament, we were up in around Wheeling in Triadelphia, West Virginia. They have a really nice theater up there, and I was like, heck yeah, we had time before we go home. We're gonna go see this movie. Carly wanted to see it. And I mean, it had some hype on it. I really thought everybody was raving about it at this point. And I thought, man, this thing must be really great. And I liked it. It just, you know, I don't know.
It doesn't do anything fancy.
Special.
Yeah. It did not take any chances.
Right. I mean, Jack Black was great in it. Playing Bowser, and my daughter immediately found that music video online and shared with me. But yeah, I mean, I like Charlie Day. I thought his Luigi was pretty good. You know, I don't know. Carly really liked it, I guess. Maybe I'm not the demographic for it, or I'm, you know.
Just the kids love my nephews laughed their butts off when we watched it, and that made it work for me.
Yeah. but I thought it was cool. It had, most of the characters you want to see in it, though. We sat all the way through it to get the extra credit scene or whatever, and then I was just like, that was it. Didn't do anything for me, but yeah, I like the movie. I don't know. Jordan, did you see Mario at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So yeah, we I will say the theater up there, it's on right down the road from the Highland Sports Complex and Cabela's and all that. It's a newer shopping center area. And that theater was really nice. Really clean, well lit. Even when they shut the lights off, the way they used some of the lighting was kind of neat. It wasn't distracting, but it was very visible, which was, from where we were sitting. Had the stadium seating in it, so that was good. That was a good experience for us.
Cool. I like to hear about people getting out there to the theater.
Well, let's not bury the lead then.
Oh, wait. I got one more.
Okay,
last night, bury this lead quickly. Because I'm curious. I assume you guys have seen this movie. What you thought of it? I just like to try to get Nick to watch movies. As he's continuing movie education. He likes to know what was the big movie, when, and things. So I had been listening to. Have you guys heard of the podcast? You Must Remember This.
We've talked about it before.
Okay, well, yeah, very popular film history podcast, basically Hollywood history type thing. And I'm working my way through some stuff from months ago, but she was doing the erotic 80s and talking about just how sex in movies and things, and how the culture at the time and all the behind the scenes stuff that was going on all through the 80s. She went year by year and got up to 87 and was talking about Fatal Attraction. So Nick and I watched that yesterday. That's the Michael Douglas and Glenn Close movie where he cheats on his wife, Ann Archer, and it becomes a very deadly problem. And it holds up. Yeah, I was just curious. You guys seen Fatal Attraction?
Yeah,
I never have seen it all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been. I saw
on Prime right now, I think.
Saw when it was, fairly new.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. But I remember it was a good movie.
It has an aesthetic. Let me tell you, it's white. White walls, water, and glass. There's lots of white walls, water, and glass, and blood. Lots of blood.
Yeah.
But they just do. That was the first movie that, Michael Douglas was, of course, Kirk Douglas, somebody. He wasn't much until he was got his biggest blip there for Romancing the Stone, and then this Fatal Attraction made him the guy that does these movies, these thriller movies, all through the 90s. Disclosure and The Game and all that stuff. Like, I loved him. He was my favorite guy to watch in the 90s, and so it's all started with this. And like, they didn't even want him to do it. De Palma didn't want him. Nobody wanted Glenn Close because they didn't think she was good looking enough for this, and she fought for it and pulled it off. She did a great job. It's a good movie, good thriller. Really exemplifies what was in the theaters in '87. This was one of the biggest movies of that year. I think everyone was nominated in it except Douglas. Like she was nominated. The movie was nominated. I just saw in some. It's like with the 100 scariest villains in movies, she was like number 7. That character on a recent list. So it's a very iconic movie. With I always point out what the famous line is. When she says, "I will not be ignored." I was like, "That's the line, Nick. That's the one you'll hear." So,
aren't they doing a remake of that? A series or
it's
a movie
a series on Paramount Plus right now with Pacey.
Okay.
Pacey and the girl from, gosh, she's been in a lot of stuff. She was on Party Down. She was on the Misery thing. She was on that. I'm gonna look it up.
I always think of him. I don't think of him from Dawson's Creek because I didn't watch that. I always think of him from
Lizzie Kaplan.
Lizzie
the
Kaplan.
Mighty Ducks. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So,
now
yeah.
you can get to it. I got it out of my system.
That was the lead I was talking about. Erotic thrillers.
Ah, yes.
That was a whole subplot. Remember in Love, Gus wanted to bring back the erotic thriller because they don't make them like that anymore.
Yep.
Anyway, I don't know how to transition. Play a pop song, Cliff.
Okay. Here it is.
Your Zune for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The trilogy concludes. And we all saw it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I saw it in 3D, apparently.
Oh, that sounds annoying.
Yeah, I would not have done it. I would not have done it if it wasn't for the fact there's only one theater at the mall with a huge screen. And I like that theater, but first, they chose for this movie to basically only show it in 3D in there. So
which number is that?
1. It's easy to remember. It's theater 1. Theater 2 is huge for seating, but has a little tiny screen. Okay,
I think that's where I saw it was theater 2.
Yeah, it's tiny screen, big theater. They have a anyway. They had it in 3D, and it was hardly noticeable. It was one of those after the fact type 3D thing, so
money grab.
Did not need it.
So this we've talked many times. We've ranked modern superhero movies, and Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was the top of our list. It was our favorite modern superhero movie. And
starting with like Blade, going back to like Blade, right?
From the late 90s till about 5-6 years ago. 2 was as good or better than 1 even was. So here it is, the 32nd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, released exactly 6 years to the day after Volume 2. So Volume 2 came out Free Comic Day 2017. This one came out this year. The longest gap between any MCU film and its sequel. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it, but I remember we started our Ant-Man discussion the same way, and this one is even more so. The very idea of a trilogy doesn't even really mean anything in this Marvel world, because crucial parts of the story don't happen in this trilogy. Like, you had to watch 6 other movies and a holiday special to grasp it all. So again, that idea of Star Wars trilogy, Indiana Jones that thing we grew up on, of like these 3 movies that just form this cohesive unit and really mean something to you, and you can argue over which one's better and which one's your favorite. It just doesn't really apply to these Marvel movies, it seems. Like at the end of Volume 2, everything was good. Gamora professes her love to Peter. They have the funeral, Yondu is redeemed, and everybody's going off into space happy. And then when we start Volume 3, Peter's a mess, Gamora's dead, and like all that stuff happened in another movie.
So much has happened.
Yeah. And they're in their headquarters are nowhere, which I had forgotten they bought in the holiday special. So that's a crucial piece.
Which was which you basically needed to watch the holiday special.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I'm not complaining. I'm going to watch all these things anyway. I like this cohesive universe, but it's just kind of changing that idea. What is a trilogy even if there are 8 supplemental things in between them all? Yeah.
That's very true. But I mean, I think this one feels more like a trilogy than any, Ant-Man or whatever. I would say any of the other ones that might be considered, that have 3 or 4 or 3 movies, as a cohesive unit. Like if you only watch these 3, yeah, you're going to be lost at the beginning of the third one, but as a whole, like the story it tells, I feel like it's more intact, I guess, than some of the other ones. So,
and it's all Gunn even talking about the themes. The first one's about the mother, the second's about the father, the third is about the self or the child or whatever. So like, yeah, there is that kind of thematic thing, and the through lines of, I rewatched 1 and 2, and Rocket, even in the first one, is talking about being a monster. There's nothing nothing in the universe like me. So like, it was all set up there for these arcs, and luckily they let James Gunn do all 3 and pay all that stuff off eventually.
Yeah, I watched 2 before I went and saw this, and then watched 1 after, which definitely was a big payoff to see all that stuff. It's like, wow, they really laid the tracks early on all this. So yeah, it was something. I posted when I went that night. I was like, this better make me cry. That's what I want. I want to go in here, and I know it's going to be, I don't know if somebody's going to die. I don't know what's going to happen, but I expect it to be emotional, and I want to cry, and I did, but just at like a moment that I felt was just more personal to me, like something that triggered something in me. But I don't know. It didn't quite live up. It couldn't live up to, what were the odds that all 3 movies are going to be perfect? Because I rate both, both those, the first and second are both 9s out of 10 for me. Like, just great. This doesn't quite get there, but I still really liked it. I liked all of what they were trying to do. There was just sometimes it doesn't go smoothly. It just, the tempo's off or something.
Well, I may know what could have happened when you went to see it that made you feel that way. And it's because you did not go with my wife and daughter to see this movie and walk home with the Guardians of the Galaxy popcorn bucket cup with special Gamora topper and some other little figure we got for just a cheap price of $35.
Would that have made me think it was worth it?
Yes, it would have changed your experience.
Merchandising.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like, it's hard to even remember. Like, it's impossible to when you first saw Guardians 1 for the first time, like, we can't even fathom that. That's a different, you see it on cable, like, oh, there's that funny scene, or that's a good, oh, he's dancing, haha. But like, this was such a monumental, I don't know, just game changer of a movie. And then my memory was, yeah, two was good, but I didn't think it was as good as 1, because 1 was so groundbreaking and different and fresh and exciting. And then I rewatched it, and I'm like, what am I talking about? 2 is every bit as good as 1.
Yeah.
It has all this good action scenes. It's got Kurt Russell. It's like, yeah. So rewatching the first 2, I couldn't help but get so hyped. Like, all right, this is going to pay it off. We're 2 for 2. This is going to do it. And like, I can't explain why, but like 2/3 of that movie, I'm like, this isn't doing it. It's not doing it. Do better. Like, I just, it wasn't working. I loved the third act. I loved the ending, the payoff, all the emotional closure. It ended super well, but I don't know. It just took a long time getting there. And all the weird, yes, the first 2 movies are weird, but this one had some real, the Nathan Fillion character and the weird suits, and all these little side trips they're taking. It was not working for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure I'll watch it again.
Oh, I wished I would have had time. I wish I would have had time to watch it again before this because just so I could go in knowing what I was getting and let it, see if it hit me different the second time. Because there's some great stuff in this movie. Like we're saying this being picky, but because we had the sky's the limit for our hopes and dreams for it. But there's a lot of good. Like, I mean, that hallway fight scene. Yeah. It actually, I mean, when you say hallway fight scene, I think Old Boy, The Raid. Now I'm gonna also think Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's a good fight.
Yeah, I actually had a very positive experience with it. I mean, we all cried. My daughter was crying halfway through the movie, and cried through pretty much the entire second half.
Yeah.
But we all came out just absolutely loving it.
Wow. I'm happy for you. Half the crowd is like that. It is definitely hitting people. It's basically half the people. It is hitting just right, and half of them are like me and Jordan, just like, man, it almost worked.
Yeah, that's the response I'm seeing from way more people. That it masterpiece, moving, touching, payoff, victory.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why didn't it hit me that way?
Right. I know some of the stuff just feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy type joke instead of a one that fit right. Like the whole thing with the suits, the different colors and all this stuff. That is as Guardians of the Galaxy a joke as you can get, and it just was clunky as heck to me. That it didn't work. And that type of stuff, like, but the emotional and I feel like the animal stuff is just manipulative. It's so like animal cruelty. Okay, you're gonna be upset about that. It's upsetting. Okay,
I saw a lot of, I won't say a lot. I saw criticism from people that were coming out of that movie that were just simply like, I hate this. I hate the animal cruelty stuff, and it took me completely out of the movie.
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple people who have said, I can't watch it again. Like, they're such animal lovers. They're just like, it's a CGI critter, but it was dark. It was cruel.
Yeah. I just didn't have that reaction to it. I thought, I don't know, I guess I somehow felt as I was watching it that it was all going to pay off, and it was going to be some I guess
I wasn't worried about, I didn't go in there thinking, don't do that, don't manipulate me like this. I just honestly feel like that there was some of that, and it didn't make me cry really, any of that. I was like, I'm not, it just didn't work perfectly for me, but I did like that we got to see this stuff, that his backstory. I mean, the star of Bradley freaking Cooper, as much as people said, why even get this guy? You're not going to show him on screen. Why go get this big star? Because he freaking rules doing that voice.
I might be griping at this movie a little bit, but it's already got a couple of nominees for next year's Poobah Awards in some of those categories. Like voice performance.
Oh my!
We already got a front runner, right?
Yeah, he is so good at that.
We are going to get into a few spoilers if you weren't warned ahead of time. We're going to talk a few specific plot points, but this shouldn't be a surprise. Like you see in Guardians 1, he's got these cybernetic enhancements. Like they infer.
He takes his shirt, they hose him down, and he comes out.
But this one shows it. This one is explicit about it. And I thought, like, his story with the 4 friends, that's straight out of the comic books, that's already tragic. Being experimented on, and these innocent creatures, and wanting to be free. Like, that's already tragic. And then they kill them off. Like, I don't feel that was necessary. Nope. I would even call it the idea of fridging a character. Lila, the girlfriend, they killed her just to make Rocket
It was so obvious they were going to do that, and it was. I agree. It's unnecessary.
And so it's already tragic. He could have rescued them, and it would still have been a tragic origin. But to kill them off and him be the only survivor, that's just like cruelty. That's just rubbing in your face.
Totally. That is exactly how I see it too. I was like, yes, of course, they're all dead. Unnecessary.
I don't know. It was. I guess maybe it
would have worked. It would have worked fine if they were somewhere living and they just don't go on adventures because they're incapable because of what's happened to them. But
I think I had so convinced myself going into it that either Drax or Rocket or somebody was going to get killed off out of the major characters.
I can't believe nobody major.
I guess, in my head, I'm thinking out loud, but maybe that didn't, when them killing off those characters, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's how the story went. And I was almost relieved that, they did not kill off any of the Guardians. So.
And I didn't realize that was Linda Cardellini as Lila doing the motion capture
I didn't
voice
know that.
work. So.
I didn't know that.
Hawkeye's wife is also Rocket's lady. So go figure.
Bobby. Oh. I don't know.
So I didn't hear, I went at 10:30 or whatever that showing was on Thursday night, and there were maybe 15 people in the crowd, but I didn't get big laughs. I didn't get a big cheer at any point. This was supposed to be the movie in this phase. This is the movie everyone's banking on in this phase because everyone's been a little underwhelmed these last few.
Right.
So
this was going to be
the Marvel payoff.
This was the surest thing we had on the horizon.
I wasn't
as sure as it gets.
I don't know. Will we ever top the end game and all that stuff?
No,
I guess not.
No, but I don't know that you have to either. But I did, you kind of get algorithms and locked into when I feel like every time I see a movie, the next week on TikTok, all I get are things about that movie that I just saw. And I saw a lot of positive just reactions and people loving it. So I'm a little surprised you guys didn't like it more than you did, because we've just been raving about it here for 2 weeks now at our house. And just, even though, it was sad, it just, I don't know, a happy ending goes a long way in our house. So
honestly, I got to tell you that I liked all the late stuff, but the Yub Nub crap I did not care for. Just jumping up and down, Yub nubbing it up on nowhere did nothing for me. It was just silly.
Maybe that's why I loved it.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. I was like, I don't know. It just seems. It felt like, honestly, I feel like it's because it felt like that TV special. It's like, oh, they're all there. That's where they're at, and they're jumping up and down. Everybody, and I don't know. There was things I liked. I mean, I really can't wait to watch it again. The thing that got me the most was the stuff with him and Gamora, and everybody, like Jordan said, what the mother, father, and then what would you say, like self or something for
self or the child.
It's kind of like all of them were the child. Like all of them were, who am I? I'm not.
Yeah.
And they all get like an answer. I'm like, I'm not Drax the Destroyer anymore. I'm Drax the dad. And, Gamora is not his girlfriend. She's not necessarily just a weapon. She's something different than he remembers her being. And, Nebula doesn't have to be what she was pieced together to be. She can choose to be who she wants to be. Rocket's no longer a number. He's a raccoon. What's Groot? We have anything for Groot?
Well, we understood Groot.
Well, that's true. I hated that, by the way. It was too much Vin Diesel. Of course, he's talking about family.
I hadn't even thought about Groot that much until we had come back home and Carly come out because she was still thinking about the movie, and she says, yeah, I get Groot. This is, she got the whole storyline of why apparently he looks different, and he being raised in a family with love and that different appearance than the original Groot, who was, a loner and had a rough life. And I don't know, I enjoyed the journey of each character, even if it was kind of as a whole through the three or beyond the three. And it's a self-discovery for each character. But yeah, I don't know, it just hit right for me.
When they walk by each other and she says, when she finally realizes, kind of comes around and realizes it's possible she could see how they were something and says, I bet we were fun or what. I don't remember exactly how she says it. It's like, man, that one really got me. Like that's just, that's triggering. I really like that. It just, because we have been with these characters a long time, and it's like people change, and even regardless of, she basically is a different person, but just symbolically, they have changed a lot over this time. And just to think they were they were a thing at the end of that first movie. They're together. Yeah, they have some squabbles in the second, but they're a couple, and just to not end on a note where they just get back together, that was the right decision. That was that single storyline worked great.
Yeah, I thought throughout, like, they were going too hard making her unlikable, because yes, this is a different Gamora. This is not the one we've watched in all these movies, but like, she's so mean and angry and like bristly, and part of me, I think, was like, how are they ever going to get together by the end? Because that's you're conditioned that the two characters are going to fall in love by the end. It's like, she's terrible, she hates everyone, like she's never going to fall in love by the end. But like, that wasn't what they were doing. So okay, I can.
Oh yeah, I like that worked for me all through, where she just was having to watch the rest of them be a family, and her just watching that, like seeing how they dealt with each other. So by the end, she really, it's leaning that way, and has come to understand why they are who they are.
So two other characters I haven't mentioned: the main villain, the High Evolutionary, who
he was excellent.
Any comic I ever read with him, I thought was dumb. So he wasn't a character I was looking forward to.
I like that actor though. I thought he did a good job.
There's a little bit of scenery chewing. I like that he hired Mateo from Superstore as his number
2. Yeah, that guy I was like, that is that guy.
Yeah, he was that he served his purpose, but I don't know that he was a super memorable villain or anything. And then, what do you think of Adam Warlock? Again, not a character who would show up, in an Infinity War or whatever, and I knew who he was, but I've never read a ton of comics with him, so I don't have a great history with him or knowledge about him. But I don't think this was.
He's just he's a Messiah guy. But they, it's such a, we're not using this character in Infinity War. We don't need him. Let's not complicate things. Yeah. But man, that'll make a great stinger. And now we got to do something with him. Yeah, so here, you got to use him, James Gunn. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to make the metaphor that he's not a fully developed character. He wasn't done cooking, and I'm going to throw him in there and show how stupid that looks. Yeah. But I honestly do kind of have a little bit of hope that he's in Secret Wars or whatever they're going to call it, like it as a character they could throw in there and have something developed for him, because I like that guy, and I thought he looked cool.
He did, and I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, how they did use him. He wasn't the big villain. But every time he showed up, I'd be like, oh, that damn guy again. Like he'd come flying out of nowhere. It's like, shit, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't add, you could have taken him completely out of the movie. Okay, it pays off those golden people that they betrayed. Like it pays off that story. And yeah, it was, the cocoon is there, so we got to explain what was in the cocoon. But yeah, apart from that, I don't think that he was necessary. I said there's a chance he develops into a more full character, but this wasn't it.
Oh.
And our first F-bomb in the Marvel Universe. I had people talking about that like a week before. Did you hear they're going to be an F-bomb? I was like, what?
Well, they built it up too much. They built it up too much because it was like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a funny line, but I didn't even think about that.
Well, they always said like they would, if you were to add an F-bomb to a movie, like here's a movie, where would you put it? I feel like there had to have been a better place to put it in this movie.
Grouches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also set the record for the most makeup appliances used in a single film, having more than 23,000 prosthetics used across more than 1,000 actors. So this whole planet of evolutionary animal hybrid people, like it was all prosthetics. It wasn't all CGI.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of practical effects going on. It looked a little silly, but it was very creative. It was very James Gunn, from the mind of James Gunn, you could tell.
Yeah. Huh.
And we also got a little more modern music. Did we like the set moving away from the 70s soft rock into Radiohead and Florence and the Machine, Beastie Boys, Flaming Lips, Faith No More? So not the AM Gold.
That
we were
yacht rock. I mean, they did the No Sleep Till Brooklyn and Mario too, and it was just like, God, that is so overused. I expect more from James Gunn, honestly. Those first two soundtracks are awesome. This is the worst of the three. I like the little bit of modern stuff. Creep was cool. It's a little on the nose, but it was a different version and things. But No Sleep Till Brooklyn was amateur hour. It worked totally, but you could do better than that. It's been used, I feel like, plenty. Wasn't very original.
It was funny as I was watching it and immediately noticed, the difference in the music. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I like this as much. But then halfway through the movie, I was totally into it. I'm just like, oh, I remember this song. I remember that song. Like, I remember being that age. So it worked well enough for me.
Yeah.
As far as, I guess eventually they were going to run out of 70s gold hits.
All right, so the mid-credit scene, we got the new roster of the Guardians: Rocket, Groot, Cosmo, Warlock, Kraglin, that little fuzzy Ewok guy, and one of the little orphan girls. So, does this mean anything, or
nope.
was this
just this?
Yeah.
There may be another Guardian someday that Rocket runs, I could see, and it ain't gonna be this lineup. But it was the lineup right now.
Yeah. I could see them more going the Christmas special route, I think.
I could see that
going forward than the actual like big summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
So
and
if they don't, I'm fine with that.
I could see Guardians coming back for Secret Wars or whatever that's going to be, and I highly doubt this is the roster.
Yeah, I don't see this lineup headlining a feature film or anything. And then the end credits, we got the tag: the legendary Star-Lord will return. So we got a promise that Peter Quill will be back.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Peter Quill, it says Star-Lord.
Yeah, it says Star-Lord. Legendary Star-Lord will return. So
But
the tag was Peter on Earth chatting with his grandfather, who I'm sure one of those, there's been a million YouTube videos of like, what, Peter's never go back to Earth, look for his grandpa? I'm sure that was something, plot hole people thought they had talked about, but that's more of a character thing that he wasn't going to go back to Earth looking
for
anything.
Yeah, that worked for me. I liked they still had, that guy was still around to still be the grandpa.
Yeah, because he was in 2, right? He was driving the car.
He was in 1.
No, but he was in 2 also.
Probably.
Yeah,
I don't remember when.
When the big when Ego's big, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I remember from 2 is Kurt Russell. That's all you need to know.
So yeah, overall, it did what it needed to do. It capped off these characters. It capped off this story. It was emotional. It was funny. It was exciting. It had a bunch of good sci-fi-ness to it. I don't know what my problem is. I think it's a me problem, not a this movie problem. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it again, and I'm gonna try to slot it in there. But yeah, I don't, people have been declaring Marvel dead for the last 6 or 8 movies. Like, Marvel, it's over, it's done. But I think there's still something in the tank, and this one proved it.
Yep, it's still probably the best trilogy probably out there for Marvel, for the Marvel stuff.
Wow. I just ahead of Captain America.
That's the one I was saying. I was thinking,
Professor, is it better
honestly, the Cap trilogy is solid as heck. Like, I love First Avenger, Winter Soldier's amazing, Civil War is amazing, and like all 3 of those are super movies. So I would rank.
We should do an episode where we debate this.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I like that above probably the Guardians, just because of this movie. If it wasn't for the failings I saw in this movie, it would definitely be up there, because like I said, I freaking love the first 2.
Yeah, I love all 3. This is just so far up my alley in what I love in comic books and superhero movies, the oddball, weird adventures that are not your normal mainstream characters, at least starting out. So it did it completely for me. I highly recommend it. If anybody hasn't seen it, take your kids. Don't worry about the content.
Wow. That is not Ka-Pow approved.
It's totally
they rip a guy's face off. Be careful.
He should have said the F word.
Yeah.
Ow.
That effing hurt.
Yeah, that's my effing face, man.
So yeah, we loved it.
All right, good stuff. We like movies.
Glad to have it.
If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, let us know. Did we miss anything? Was there some grand, is there some detail that we overlooked that would click this all into place for us that you saw but nobody else did? Let us know. Till then.
Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
We'll talk to you later. My name's Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/YouDownWithKPP for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.